Significant airstrikes since President Trump returned to the White House, and the first time U.S. jets have struck these Iranian-backed Houthi rebels in Yemen since President Trump returned to the White House. U.S. officials say F-18 Super Hornets from the flight deck of the USS Harry S. Truman were the vanguard of the strikes, along with Air Force fighter jets and drones. President Trump announcing the strikes just a few minutes ago on his Truth Social, saying, quote, today I have ordered the United States military to launch decisive and powerful military action against the Houthi terrorists in Yemen. They have waged an unrelenting campaign of piracy, violence, and terrorism against American and other ships, aircraft, and drones. Joe Biden's response was pathetically weak, so the unrestrained Houthis just kept going. And John, recall, it was just days after taking office, one of President Trump's first executive orders was redesignating the Houthis a foreign terrorist organization after the Biden administration removed them. The State Department made it official earlier this month, marking Houthi leaders ripe for assassination. The targets in today's strikes include air defense systems and missile and drone factories, and also include a strike against one of the Houthis' top missile officers. The Houthis are backed by Iran. Many consider them modern-day Barbary pirates. Since the October 7th massacre, they have launched over 100 attacks against commercial shipping. U.S. warships also came into the crosshairs of the Houthis dozens of times in recent years. The Houthis launched anti-ship ballistic missiles and crewed drones at the American warships. None were successful and all were shot down. And just a few days ago, Houthis leader said attacks would resume against shipping in the Red Sea, and including Israeli ships. Now, General Kurilla, the head of U.S. forces in the Middle East, has been itching to launch these strikes to reopen those vital shipping lanes and destroy Iran's proxy force in Yemen. Kurilla ordered Truman, the U.S. Navy aircraft carrier, back to the Red Sea late last month to be prepared to launch these strikes, and those Super Hornets, as you can see there. Now, last month, the Houthis launched surface-to-air missiles at an Air Force F-16 orbiting overhead, as well as an American Reaper drone. And, John, it's not just in Yemen where U.S. forces have been engaged. Last night, President Trump announced the #2 leader in ISIS had been killed in an American drone strike. We have some video footage, as you can see there. That happened in western Iraq yesterday. And, John, these airstrikes against the Iranian-backed Houthi rebels were meant to send a message to Tehran as well, to stop their support for the Houthi rebels. Of course, that's where these missiles and drones that the Houthis fire at commercial ships and U.S. warships come from. I'll also read a little more from President Trump's lengthy statement on Truth Social. He had a message to the Houthis. It says, quote, "Your time is up and your attacks must stop starting today. If they don't, hell will rain down upon you like never before. And to Iran, support for the Houthi terrorists must end immediately." And President Trump said he won't be nice about it, John.
You're a Navy veteran, Lucas. I know that during the Biden administration, the Navy said it was basically more engaged in seaborne operations than at any time since, I think, World War II. Do I have that right? And is this
That's correct,
kind of
John.
intended to put an end to that kind of thing on the part of the Houthis?
That's right, John. Multiple times U.S. warships came under ballistic missile attack in the Red Sea and off the coast of Yemen and the Gulf of Aden. And just for context, that has never happened in world history. Ballistic missiles have never been launched at U.S. warships before. Thankfully, they were all shot down. But that was always a concern in the Pentagon. What if those missiles gets through? It was notable in President Biden, in his farewell address, he talked about U.S. forces not being engaged in combat. And if you looked at the Navy press release when the USS Dwight D. Eisenhower strike group returned from the Red Sea, they talked about hundreds of bombs being dropped against the Houthis, dozens of surface-to-air missiles from those Super Hornets shooting down those crewed drones that are flying overhead. There was also an issue of cost. You know, these interceptor missiles launched from the guided missile destroyers and cruisers in the strike group, John, those missiles cost millions of dollars, shooting down what were, in essence, flying lawnmowers launched from the Houthis, very crude drones, just, $50,000 or so in cost. And the fact that these shipping lanes, vital shipping lanes that are needed for commerce, for the oil trade, have been essentially shut down since the October 7th massacre, commercial ships having to take that long journey around Africa, certainly adding to the cost. So certainly there's an economic message here with these strikes against the Houthis today. And by the way, John, these strikes could go on for a number of days. That's not immediately clear.
Right, because I read that one of the goals is to target their weapons storage facilities, which are reportedly deep underground. So they're going to be using those bunker busters and probably repeatedly to try to get to those warehouses that are essentially buried.
Right, and it's notable, John, those Super Hornets carry 2,000-pound JDAM satellite-guided bombs. Those are not bunker busters, so if you needed those, you probably have to call in something heavier, some B-52 bombers, perhaps a B-2 bombers. We saw that one time during the Biden administration, B-2s launching from Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri. But certainly this is a powerful message being sent. You know, you also have Tomahawk cruise missiles aboard those guided missile destroyers in the Truman Strike Group. We didn't hear about any Tomahawk strikes today, but certainly there's more firepower in the area if called upon.
A powerful message being sent not only to the Houthis, but as you say, to Iran as well, Lucas.
There's no question, John. President Trump recently sent a letter to the Ayatollah saying Iran needs to end its nuclear enrichment program, stop in this path toward what many in the intelligence community say is a path to a nuclear bomb. The Israelis have been itching to strike the Iranians so far. While the Trump administration has voiced its support for such an operation, President Trump has said he wants to end this diplomatically. That's why he sent that letter, but it was rejected from the Ayatollah. But the Iranians support these Houthi rebels, and so there's no question this is a message being sent to Tehran as well in Sana'a in Yemen.
All right, Lucas Tomlinson at the White House. If you get more information on these attacks against the Houthis in Yemen, get back to us. Thanks, Lucas.